Today I messed up by asking a random man if he was homeless. So, me and my GF were kinda hungry and had nothing in, so we decided to go for a big shop at Aldi. If you're not aware, then Aldi is a massive supermarket with overly cheap food, ideal for people like us that live on a budget. So me and my GF rocked up to Aldi, loads of ideas of what to buy, and felt like improving my karma, so asked the local homeless man outside said shop if he would like something to eat and or drink. He replied, "Yes please, I'd like a sandwich without tomato and an orange juice please." So, without hesitation I agree I'd buy said items and return after a while shopping, to which he agreed. The sandwiches are the first thing on offer walking into Aldi, so I grab his sandwich after joking slightly with GF that I get him a BLT, bacon, lettuce and tomato, also grab some satay chicken bites and a large carton of fresh orange. Around 35 or so minutes later it's time to check out, so pay for items, walk out the door, and the man is no longer sat on the doorstep to Aldi. Immediately confused I start to look for the man as if bought items for him and really wanted to give them to him, as I frequently feed and help the homeless etc. Looking all over a car park thinking maybe he's gone to stretch his legs. Walk down the street a little bit and also back up to my car, nowhere to be seen. I forgot to mention that the bloke was wearing a blanket, so had no idea what his clothes looked like. Then suddenly, a challenger appears. He looks me blankly in the face. He's wearing dirty clothes. He's got the same color hair as the man I spoke to earlier. For is looking at me like I just asked him 45 minutes ago what he wants from the local Aldi. He says, "WTF you looking at?" I say, "Are you the guy who was sat outside Aldi earlier?" For goes, "Are you alright?" I say, "Sorry mate. Are you homeless?" For goes, "Do I look homeless?" To which I respond, "No, you look like thing legend." I'd realized my mistake and was trying to defuse the situation, to which he gave me the finger and walked off. Please note, the guy was wearing around 3 jackets and was really dirty on his pants, face. Guess that's what happens when you try to be nice. I drive off and beep at him and he gives me the finger once more before retreating to the door of his 4-bedroomed home. Today I messed up by telling my mom I was writing again. I used to write all the time and was pretty good at it, but stopped when I was really depressed as a teen and never really got back into it, despite having multiple story ideas that I hope to eventually turn into books if I can just motivate myself to actually write them. Anyway, my mom has been encouraging me to start writing again for years now, so when I suddenly had the inspiration to write a short spin-off story set in one of my fantasy worlds, I told her about it. So what's the FU? Now she wants to read it when I'm finished, but what I didn't tell her is that the story features a very graphic and very weird sex scene between a human and a non-human creature. It's sapient and there's consent. It's not bestiality, just monster fucking, and I don't know how to tell her she can't read it because the first thing I was inspired to write after years of nothing is weird monster erotica. Today I messed up by using a paint sprayer to paint my living room. My husband and I recently bought a house that needed serious updating. We had old carpet and nasty tile, including asbestos, removed, and then installed gorgeous new finish in place, red oak, stained a light color. Today I decided to paint my living room Sherwin-Williams Salty Dog, a very dark blue, and, being somewhat lazy and hating painting with the fire of 1,000 suns, decided to try a paint sprayer. I got a Magnum X5, so not super cheap but not top of the line, watched some videos, and started. We prepped everything using tape and some of that tape with plastic sheeting attached. While my husband left to run an errand, I started painting. It looked great, and after a few issues, like it stopping when it still had 20% of the paint left in the gallon, I was done. Then I noticed it. Paint. Specifically, aerosolized blue paint that I didn't realize was coming up in a cloud as I painted. All over my gorgeous new floors. It's everywhere. The floor in the living room and part of the hallway now has a slight blue tinge from aerosolized paint. I'm going to die of the shame. I have no idea what to do. Today I messed up by giving my man a lap dance thinking no one could see us. 24F and 25M. Last night, Friday night, me and my man decided to go to the strip club. We usually have tons of fun at the strip club, but we made the mistake of going to a club we hadn't been to before and it was a total bust, but it definitely got us in the mood. We decided to go to our favorite pool bar that we used to frequent in college for the free pool tables and spacious private patio. After a couple of drinks we headed out to the patio to smoke a joint. It was around 1 AM and cold out, so we were completely alone outside. We started fooling around and making out and I decided to pull my shirt down and let him suffocate in my chest while I gave him a lap dance. Next thing we know, the bouncer came outside and asked us to stop because they have cameras, which they didn't have when we were in college. He wasn't upset with us. I truly think he was just trying to save us the embarrassment of what had happened unbeknownst to us. We laughed and apologized and covered up and headed inside to tab out and head home. My man and I started to wonder who in the world was watching the cameras and saw us. The bouncer station was right up front in full view of customers. And he was the one who came and got us. So who was watching the cameras and where were they? We wondered. I was mortified when we looked up to see that the screen of cameras was, in fact, right at the front of the bar at the bouncer's stand for everybody to see. I mean, it was right next to a screen showing a game of rugby, for God's sakes. Everyone in that bar saw my chest, and it was obvious by the way they were looking at us as we rushed out, apologizing profusely. Lesson learned: no matter how safe and private you feel, remember that someone is always watching. Today I messed up by not realizing my shoulder has been out of place for years. Hi Reddit. A few years ago, I injured my shoulder doing some dumb activity that I don't remember. I thought at the time I tore my rotator cuff cause my shoulder was really hurting, and I couldn't move it fully. Anytime I raised my arm, it wouldn't let me go past a certain point without a lot of pain. I didn't use it very much for about a month to try and heal it myself due to not being able to afford going to the doctor, and that seemed to help it. The pain went away when I wasn't using it, and I thought that my injury was finally healing. Yay! I started working out, and my shoulder pain came back with a vengeance. But I was stubborn. I wasn't going to let my injury hold me back. I pushed through the pain because I figured if my shoulder got stronger, the muscles being built up would compensate for the tear, and eventually I wouldn't even notice it was there, right? So that's what I did. And it actually worked a lot better than I expected it to. Over time, through working out, I noticed the pain less and less, and it stopped being something I thought about every time it started hurting. I still had a limited range of motion, but I stopped noticing that as well. I got so used to it that I figured it had healed. I didn't notice the pain when I worked out, even though it was still there. When I got into heavier weights, my shoulder would almost move, and it would pop a lot. I just associated that with it being normal due to the previous injury. And then my girlfriend wanted to learn some cool dancing dips. We would practice me flinging her around, dipping her, general dance moves. Well, we weren't fully sober, and were just messing around with trying things we hadn't before, being overly confident with new tricks in our inebriated state and shit. I tried something new, and didn't realize I was close to an obstacle. If I had continued, I would have booped her head into it, so to save her the pain, I instinctively moved her out of harm's way, at the expense of my balance. I fell hard on my shoulder, both my hands were on her, and I felt my shoulder dislocate, and then an immediate pop back into place. It hurt way less than I imagined a dislocation to feel, but I wasn't even thinking about the pain. My shoulder had suddenly gotten its full range of motion back. Not only could I move it up and back, a motion previously impossible, but I could do it without any pain, or popping. I'm such a dumbass, y'all.